Good morning. My name is Rick Williams. I'm the Chair of the Development Committee. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Berman,
Berman here.
Doherty. Mr. Doherty,
Doherty here.
thank you. Garcia. Linder,
Pleasure here.
Tepe. Leonard,
Leonard here.
Roth,
Roth is here.
Iqbal,
Iqbal present.
Williams.
Williams present.
Do you have an in-person quorum?
We have remote attendance requests from Mr. Doherty and Mr. Linder due to health reasons. Is there any objection? Seeing none, Mr. Doherty and Mr. Linder will be entitled to participate remotely. I'd like to entertain a request for unanimous consent for the minutes dated November 19th, 2024.
So moved.
Mr. Iqbal asks for unanimous consent. Is there any objection? Seeing none, the minutes will be approved. Public comment. We have one speaker signed up, Mr. Griffin, I believe. Am I reading that right?
Yeah.
Are you here on a pending zoning petition, Mr. Griffin?
I am, yes.
So we will, when we get to your matter, you'll be entitled to speak at that time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Monthly financials are on file. Are there any questions? Moving on to building and zoning, Mr. Van Kerkhoff.
Good morning, Mark Van Kerkhoff, Director of Development Department. For your building and zoning activities, we have some petitions this morning in terms of our building permits. We're still really active with people wanting to get permits yet before the winter sets in, including a number of large home permits. We also try to work with folks to get their projects started. One project of note that's underway, if you ever drive out by Bolcom and Crane Road, the Fox River and Countryside Fire Rescue District has their new station under construction, which is going to be a huge asset to the district. It'll be centrally located and help their response time since they serve both sides of the river. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions or move on to zoning petitions.
Any questions for Mr. Van Kerkhoff?
No.
Okay, let's move on to zoning petitions, please.
Okay, first petition this morning is 4645. This is for Dundee's Renewables Solar. The applicant is Dundee Renewables LLC. The property owner is LF4 Investment. They're requesting a special use in the F Farming District to allow for development of a commercial community solar facility. This is on the west side of Boyer Road, just north of the Huntley Road, Long Meadow Parkway in Dundee Township. Their special permit application, as you know, for these solar farms by state statute, and our ordinance has quite a few requirements. I won't read through these, but this is just a summary of the materials that have been submitted with the application. All these are available on the pending zoning petition website. This is its location on the zoning map. Everything in a red hash is in a municipality. To the north of it is the village of Algonquin. To the south is the village of Carpentersville. You can see it's in an area that's predominantly zoned F district farming. Further to the west, you have some special uses for the gravel mining operations. Here's just a close-up. Again, you can see the locations of the municipalities. This is it on the 2040 land use plan. It's in their area on the map for resource management. Resource management area recognizes that it could be developed through county zoning action or through annexation to a municipality. There's kind of a swath of proposed open space just to the west of this parcel. And again, you see to the east of it is an area between Boyer Road and Randall Road where the county land use plan calls for commercial employment. Here it is located on the 2040 plan map. It's way up in the north part of the county. Here is in the conceptual land use strategy map. Again, it's kind of right in that line between the sustainable urban area and the critical growth area. Also wanted to point out, this is sort of at the terminus of the Long Meadow Parkway, where it crosses Randall Road, continues west, and ends up at Boyer Road. And there's also been some investment in realigning the Huntley Road and Boyer Road at that location. And here's just a couple of aerials to compare. The current map is at the top. You can see the parcel outlined in blue and the extension of Long Meadow Parkway in that intersection just to the south. If you look at the 2008 aerial, the lower right-hand corner, you can see that extended Long Meadow Parkway section was not yet constructed, and Huntley Road kind of followed a curve going to the south and the east.
I have a question, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, question.
I'm
Whose
sorry, Mr.
district
Roth.
is it in? Roth? Is it Caius's?
Oh.
Is this your district or Shannon Chess?
I think it's
Surges?
Surges.
Okay, thank you.
This was a slide we presented to our zoning board as well, just some background information on the Long Meadow Parkway and the county's investment in the corridor. Here again, the subject parcel and the aerial, you can see on Randall Road, the retail development by the Village of Algonquin on Randall Road, and some of the other mixed of uses to the west and north of Boyer Road. Here's the parcel in question. There's a number of smaller parcels to the north. A lot of the area is still being farmed. There are a couple of wetlands you can see in the aerial on this particular parcel. Here's another close-up. This is the proposed plan by the petitioner. Unlike some of the other community solar projects, it doesn't reach the maximum in terms of acreage or kilowatt size. They are proposing a new access road. They do have the panel areas, and again, they're staying away from the wetlands area. And they are meeting the setback requirements for KDOT for future right-of-way along Boyer Road. There's summary of some of the setback requirements and what the site plan provides. Happy to answer any of those details, or the petitioner here as well if you have questions. Here's their landscape and vegetation screening plan. Those were the details. Here's the actual plan. We'll note that there was a requested stipulation by the Village of Algonquin to add screening to the south, which one of the stipulations that the petitioner has agreed to. And here's a detail of the fence and the illustration of the section of what the panels, maximum panel height. Here's the LISA score and map. The LISA score represents a low protection efforts warranted, mainly because of its location and area plan for development. In terms of conditions from staff, a memo from the Transportation Department requesting a 50-foot west right-of-way setback from the Boyer Road center line. We had a memo from Dundee Township stating that they would need a permit for the access. Water Resource has their usual conditions and stipulations. The petition was opposed by the Village of Algonquin. They did come to the public hearing and gave testimony and provided information speaking against it. They had also, in their objection letter, had a number of stipulations that they were requesting that the zoning board and the county board add if they were to approve of that. The petitioner has agreed to, for those stipulations, and those were added in the motion by the zoning board recommending approval. So these were the conditions that they were recommended by the zoning board. Regional Planning Commission, this was not applicable. Zoning Board of Appeals did recommend approval with the recommended stipulations and the 4 that were agreed upon by the petitioner. Their findings of fact is in your packet, and happy to answer any questions. And again, the petitioner is here if there's any questions for them.
Mr. Griffin, would you like to address the committee, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Jim Griffin here on behalf of Dundee Renewables. Also with me is Matt Walsh, the project developer, and Carl Broberg, the project engineer. If you have any questions about the project itself, we'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have. As you can see on the aerial, this is approximately 20-acre parcel. It is significantly constrained for development by the 2 very large wetlands that are on the property. That's why this is only a 1.5 megawatt project. Most of the community solar projects you have seen have been larger, 2 or 4 or 5 megawatts. So because of the size of the site and the wetlands, which we are obviously buffering and not disturbing, it's a 1.5 megawatt site. We did have a unanimous recommendation by the Zoning Board of Appeals. We do believe that this meets all of the standards under your zoning ordinance. Nexamp is the affiliate of the developer here. Nexamp has successfully developed and operates projects in Kane County, and this will be built with American-made solar panels. So if you have any questions, we're here to answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin. I'd like to entertain a motion, then we'll have discussion.
Iqbal seconds.
Call the roll, please. Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me. Sorry, first meeting.
Discussion.
Discussion, Mr. Tepe.
Thank you. Can we go to page 79 of the packet? On there is the areas where the committee approves it. I noticed that D on page 79 is blank as to whether it meets standard or does not meet standard. Is that just a typo or?
Blair, can you bring that up on the screen? Yeah, my apologies. I'm not sure why that is blank. Okay, yeah, so they did move that it does meet standards. It's a typo not to have checked that. And their reasoning for that, or findings were that stipulation regarding the drainage and soil testing will support the finding of fact. And Algonquin and petitioner have agreed to the driveway apron.
So it probably doesn't meet the standards, but it has been agreed to by the city of Algonquin and the petitioner. Is that the logic
so-
associated with it?
Yeah, so this particular standard that adequate utility access roads, drainage, and other necessary facilities have been or are being provided. The zoning board did find that does meet their petition does meet that standard. And their reasonings were the conditions listed by staff, particularly water resources, and then also that the access driveway apron, one of those conditions that the village had requested, the petitioner has agreed to.
And they've worked out all those details.
And those 4 particular items, yeah, the village of Algonquin is still objecting to the overall project.
They're objecting based upon what they want to do in that area or based upon this specific plan?
Both. So this is in their planning jurisdiction. They see their land use plan, their letter of objection that they submitted is similar to some of the other municipalities that object to solar projects that are within their planning area. They're concerned that it's going to impede development during the 30-year period. And that was basically their case. Their letter of objection, they are objecting and they're hoping the county does not approve it, but they said if the county were to approve them, they were requesting those stipulations.
Okay.
So in the
Thank you.
four that the petitioner had agreed to, staff felt were reasonable.
Any other questions? Mr. Leonard?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mark, could you tell me how many solar fields are either being planned to be built in Algonquin or are currently on the roster to be approved?
Well, Algonquin is in both Kane and McHenry County, so I don't know from the McHenry County side. But for Kane County, there's one other one that was proposed, as you may recall, on the south side of Huntley Road, not far from here, and that was subsequently annexed into the village of Carpentersville. The next closest one that's been approved by the county is further west on Highway 20, but none real close to this site.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Caius?
No, but I'm not on the committee. This is my district. I'd like to, I don't have any objection to this per se in favor of solar. And I think that Algonquin was very reasonable in their requests, giving us a yes or no if we decided to pass it. So I'd be inclined to go with the zoning board on it. I know that Algonquin has, they proposed there was someone who proposed right behind my house in Algonquin. It was in McHenry County, so it probably didn't show up on your books, but they annexed it right away. So my thought is that if they're serious about it, then I would propose that they move toward annexing it and really, rather than stopping somebody from doing business, put it, annex it and then get what they want. But
Any other questions? Mr. Roth?
They're not here. I mean, they seem to object, but it seems like they're shoveling the decision to us. And I don't know have you heard anything from Algonquin on it?
I haven't spoke to anyone directly about this at all.
Mr. Van Kerkhoff, did the village submit any evidence contrary to the ZBA's findings? Or was it just a blanket request that we don't approve it?
No, they submitted a letter,
They're both-
and that letter is also on the website of their objection and their request for conditions, for which, as I mentioned, the petitioner agreed to. But in general, and you can read it, but in general, they were citing their, you can see on the aerial here, their investment to the north in infrastructure, and that this was, and their plan could be industrial, office, mixed use. You can also see the established land use pattern. There's a number of other parcels that would have to be annexed to get there, and land use change from their current change to a future. They didn't mention any imminent developments or proposals for annexation that they've received.
But the only documentation that the village submitted was a letter, is that correct?
Correct, was a letter and statements about their land use plan and map.
And
Mr.
I
Caius?
did get a copy of that. I'm guessing all board members got a copy of the letter earlier, was a month or so ago from, and you say it's in the packet as well, the letter?
It's not, it may not be, I'm not sure if it's in the packet, it is on the website.
Which website is that?
Not in our packet, but
Or
it's
the
on.
zoning, with the zoning petitions.
Okay. So that's, if you want to read those requirements, that I think it was reasonable. I mean, it was very well thought out, I think.
Are we ready to call the question? Any other comments, questions? Call the roll.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
Linder,
Lindsay, yes.
Tepe,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Williams.
Williams, yes.
Passes.
Thank you. Our next matter is petition number 4646, Mr. Van Kerkhoff.
Okay, this is a Richard and Kathy Rushing rezoning from F2 District Agriculture-Related Sales Service, et cetera, to F1 District Rural Residential to allow a new home to be constructed on the property. This is it's located in the area plan for agriculture on the 2040 plan. You can see there's a small residential subdivision to the north and some other residential land uses on Peplow Road to the east. Village of Burlington is both to the north and south and to the east. Here its location in the county, again, in the area plan for agriculture. And again, in the land use strategy. Here its location on the zoning map. You can see there's a number of other F1s, the R1 residential subdivision. A little bit of history on this. The F1 on the west side of the road and the F2 were originally proposed together. It was a couple who were both wanted to build their house and open a small landscaping business, and that zoning action allowed them to build the house, and they did build a building and start to use the F2 for a landscaping business. That subsequently is no longer in business, and the property's been purchased by the Rushings. And their request is to extinguish the F2 and to add instead an F1, which would allow them to build a house on that property in the future. Here is on the aerial, you can see the land uses sort of established in that area, both farming area and wooded lots and some residential. And here's a close-up. I'll go back one here just a minute. There you can see the residence that was constructed on the F1 on the west side of the road. And then this is the extent of the improvements that were done for the landscape business with the F2. The Rushings would use that for their personal use, and then in the future construct a home on the property if the rezoning petition were to be approved. Here's a plat of survey. There's some stipulations from Water Resources that they're typical ones in terms of talking about impervious area. Zoning Board of Appeals recommended approval with the staff recommended stipulations. It's before you this morning. There was a stipulation that KDOT is requesting that we'd ask you to adopt with your motion this morning, that they would apply for a minimum use access permit from KDOT, as the land use would be changing from business to residential. And McGuff Road is a minor arterial associated with a 60-foot half right-of-way. They would want any setbacks to be measured from that ultimate right-of-way. And that's been communicated with the petitioner, and they have no problem with either of those stipulations. So with that, happy to answer any questions. Doesn't look like anyone is here for the petition to speak on their behalf, so staff is happy to answer any questions.
At this time, I would entertain a motion for approval.
Iqbal moves.
Leonard
Second.
seconds.
Any discussion? No discussion. Ready for the question?
Berman,
Yes.
Doherty,
Doherty, yes.
Linder, Mr. Linder, Pepe,
Yep, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Williams.
Williams, yes.
Passes.
Next item on the agenda is petition number 4647, petitioner Warren Bowman Trust. Mr. Van Kerkhoff.
Thank you. This is petition 4647, Warren Bowman Trust. This is in Jonathan Gripes District, rezoning from F District farming to E2A residential estate. This is its location on the 2040 land use plan. It's an area plan for rural residential. You can see it's a parcel that's in very established residential area. This is just on the east side of Randall Road and south of Crane Road. Here you can see it is across the street from Leroy Oaks Forest Preserve. There's a R1 subdivision just to the south, Wild Rose residential subdivision to the east. Here it is on the aerial. This is a rezoning because they are looking to sell off the red corner area to the neighbor and thus reducing the lot size, which necessitates their parcel to be rezoned because the lot size is being reduced in the F district. Here's a close-up. You can see how the triangular piece, which would be purchased by the neighbor to the west, would actually make their yard a nicer shape and work for everybody involved. So there's one letter of concern from a property owner to the south, thinking that there'd be an additional structure or home built, but that's not the case. This is just a way to rearrange the lot lines and rezone the lot that's being reduced. Here's a plat showing the triangular piece that would be sold off to the neighbor. The rezoning would be for the remainder of the existing single-family residence. Water Resources has their typical stipulation regarding impervious area. This was not applicable for Regional Planning Commission since it's consistent with the land use plan. Zoning Board of Appeals approved with the recommended stipulation. It's before you this morning.
I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Iqbal moves.
Berman second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Doherty,
Doherty, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Williams.
Williams, yes. Next item is petition number 4648, petitioner Midwest Bank and Trust number 00-3-7742. Mr. Van Kerkhoff.
Okay, just two more to go. This is 4648, rezoning an F district to F1 district rural residential. Here it's location on the 2040 land use plan. This is an area planned for agriculture on Beath Road, just west of Route 47. Here's the zoning map. You'll understand it better from the aerial, but there's actually a number of parcels involved here. It was developed for a single family residence and then also an F2 business, which you see on the parcel closer to the corner. There's an existing F1 also at the corner of Beath Road there. Here's the aerial. You can see the area is predominantly in agriculture. Here's a close-up. Here's a close-up of the sort of the complexity of the parcels there. You can see it's not suitable for farming. A lot of it is in wetlands. Some of it has been used for the F2 business. This would allow the home to be parceled off separately and rezoned as an F1 for the existing single-family residence, which you see there. And here's the survey showing the existing home being parceled off. Water Resources has a number of stipulations which are recommended by the zoning board. The Regional Planning Commission not applicable. Zoning Board of Appeals unanimously recommended approval with the staff stipulations. And I don't believe there's anyone from the petitioner here this morning as well, so staff would be happy to answer any questions.
I'll entertain a motion.
Berman move.
Iqbal second.
Any discussion?
I just had one question.
Sure,
When-
Caius.
It's like someone with an etch-a-sketch on this thing. Does the house is going to use the driveway to the north as in common with the business then? Is that how that works?
Yes, that'll all remain the same. It's just a
They
way
have an
to
easement or
separate
something through
the
that?
home and
Good question. Any other questions? Call the roll, please.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Doherty,
Doherty, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Williams.
Williams, yes. Next item on the agenda is petition number 4649, petitioner Barbara Stuckmeyer. Mr. Van
Good
Kirkhoff.
morning. This is your last one, and there is a representative for the petition here this morning. So they may want to speak after the staff comments or answer any questions. This is rezoning from F Farming District to R7 District 2 Family Residential. This is also located in an area mostly surrounded by area in agriculture, but also for Countryside Estate. You'll see from the aerial and zoning map why. You can kind of tell from this slide here, a lot of smaller parcels and wooded area being used for residential. Here's the zoning map. You can see there's a number of E1, E2 zonings. Some of the residences are still zoned in F on R1 subdivision to the south. So this is kind of a pocket of residential area. The subject parcel itself is actually mostly being used for agriculture and farmed. It was originally a duplex that was built back when the county allowed duplexes to be built in the F district. So it was designed, constructed, and permitted as a duplex. The Stuckmeyers would like to now separate the home from the farmland, so the farmland could be sold. Here it is on the aerial. You can see the existing parcel is the red and the orange together. This would separate the area just for the duplex. This was also, originally part of a farm cluster that was at the terminus of the road. There's a number of other residential uses on the west side of the road. Here's a close-up. There's a single-family residence just to the south. The subject parcel is in the middle, a duplex. There's another single-family home to the north, which had also recently been rezoned to allow it to be split off from the farmland. Here's the overall surveys. Water resources. Other note, they're currently working on recording a minor subdivision to divide the residential portion. Owner does not intend any improvements to the residential lot. Farm portion will continue to be farmed. They seek separation so that the properties can be sold separately. Water Resources does have their usual stipulation. Regional Planning Commission, this was not consistent with the land use plan because it was a duplex, a higher density than in the Countryside Estate. But they reviewed this and recommended approval. Mostly in light that it's existing and had been legally permitted to begin with. Zoning Board of Appeals also recommends approval with the staff stipulation, and the attorney for the estate is, or the petitioner is also here if there's any questions.
Is that Miss Judy? Hi, Miss Judy. Would you like to address the committee?
Additional, yes, the Regional Plan Commission unanimously approved it. And we're just ready to be able to sell the farmland to the farmer and go on with life. But that's so we needed the separation.
I would entertain a motion then at this time.
Leonard so moves.
Iqbal seconds.
Any discussion?
One question, Madam.
Yes, Mr. Iqbal.
I have a question for the petitioner.
Into the microphone, please.
This has two parts. One is the subdivision dividing the property into two parcels, and the other one is rezoning.
Correct.
This is my impression that you could have subdivided it yourself without coming to us. under
I'm
the
sorry,
plat-
I couldn't hear you.
That you could have subdivided under the Plat Act without coming to us.
Well, I think because it involved both the R7 and the fact that there was a number of issues there. We needed a survey, and the recommendation from Mark's office, maybe he knows more, but I don't think it could have happened. And
I think
that
the
way.
issue here, Dr.
The zoning part needs the approval, but the subdivision into two doesn't, in my opinion. So that's what.
Yeah, I think the issue here is if perhaps they could subdivide it, maybe, I think we're gonna see that here in a minute, but even if they, weren't required to go through that process, if they were to have this lot, it would be non-conforming and
Yeah,
they would have a zoning issue. So they're bringing this petition before us today to bring it into conformance if it's a smaller lot. I think that if this were coming before this committee for someone to construct a duplex, I think we would have a different opinion as to this. But since this was properly permitted back in the day, I mean, I think really it makes sense to do this so that they can sell off this parcel.
And
Any
go
other-
forward.
And move forward. Any other discussion? Please call the roll.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Doherty,
Doherty, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Pepe,
Zeppy, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Williams.
William Chess. Next item on the agenda is our report from our Property Code Enforcement Division. Mr. Mall.
Good morning, John Mall, King County Code Enforcement Officer. We attached our monthly report to your packet. Cases were up by 9 since 2023, November of 2023. We think it's probably because of the better weather we had last month. In our King County Code Enforcement Division continues to assist other King County departments and divisions with inspections of their nature and translation, because we're fortunate enough to have 2 bilingual employees in the Code Enforcement Division, which is a great asset. Any questions for code enforcement?
Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Mall.
Thank you.
We'll move on
Chairman.
to Planning and Special Projects Report.
Thank you. I'm Mark Van Kerkhoff again. And before I move on to that, I just want to again thank the county board and thank John and his team for just the outstanding work. I mean, what they've been able to accomplish in terms of resolving cases quickly and handling number of cases and rapport with communities, with townships, with property owners has just far exceeded my wildest expectations when we first formed the code unit. So I want to thank John and his whole team. And a lot of that has to do with having, excellent people, but also bilingual ability in 2 of the staff to be able just to help people understand, what the county has adopted in codes and what they need to do for compliance. And they do such and work with people in such a winsome way. It's just really appreciated, John. So,
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you. And Mr. Van Kerkhoff, I would echo those sentiments on behalf of Mr. Mall and his team. Excellent job. Thank you.
So as you're aware, the planning division reports to a number of different committees, but the main report is here. So their summary of their activities is in your packet. Happy to answer any questions that you might have. A couple of months ago, we added our projects that we're doing with the ARPA funds that are now all under contract, gratefully, and underway. So we'll continue to report more detail on those activities with tourism, agriculture, manufacturing, economic development, and of course, the fabulous Fox National Water Trail new sites, which will begin construction in hopefully the first half of next year. So we're very grateful for that funding and those projects as well. But happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions of Mr. Van Kerkhoff? Thank you. Subdivisions, Ms. Orlick?
Good morning. I'm Deanne Orlick with Water Resources. One of my responsibilities is subdivisions. And as we were just discussing Stuckmeyer subdivision, before you today is the final plat for that subdivision. As you are well aware, it is primarily a farming parcel, and the existing duplex needs to be split off from the farming parcel so that can be sold separately. So this is the second time this is before you. You had saw this a couple of months ago at the time of the preliminary plat approval. The zoning has been approved, and now we're here for the last action that needs to be taken on this, and that would be the final subdivision plat. So as Mr. Van Kerkhoff alluded to, there is an existing residence on the site. I do want to point out that there are sheds that will split the property line. The previous owners of both this particular parcel as well as the parcel to the north, it was originally under the same ownership. When the ownership changed to the north, agreements were made on how those sheds will be handled. Those agreements are being updated in lieu of the subdivision plat that is before you today. And as far as the maintenance and the long-term existence of those sheds, ironically, the duplex, I believe, uses that shed as their garage. So there's a community atmosphere going on between these two parcels. So as you can see, this is the subdivision plat that's before you. You have a small parcel here, which will be the residential parcel. It's under an acre that's being split off from the overall site that will remain as farming. So the application has been made to the county for development of a 2-lot subdivision. Staff meetings were held, and owner has addressed all the comments. Proper notification was done to jurisdictions as well as residents. We received no negative comments. I will admit that there was confusion. When you say the word subdivision, people think residential homes are going into the site. And I needed to clarify that the farm parcel will remain farmed. As there is no new residential parcels, there is no land cash that will be required. And this plat has been processed in accordance with Chapter 19 of the county code. So before you today, technical staff recommends approval of the final plat so that we may begin to get signatures and get the plat recorded.
Are there any questions for Ms. Orlick? I would entertain a motion to approve.
Iqbal moves.
Paul moves, Berman seconds. Any discussion? Call the question, please.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Doherty,
Doherty, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Pepe,
Tepe, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yeah.
Williams.
Iqbal, yes.
Williams, yes.
approved.
Environmental Resources, Ms. Walnick.
I don't have anything this month. I just wanted to mention that we identified in the 2025 committee goals that were included on this agenda that water resources goals that were established last year, and Blair has the PowerPoint if anyone wanted to see that. We're not included on that, so I don't know if it's the chairperson, if you wanted us to work with staff to make sure that our goals were included on that list, if that was going to continue forward, or is that if that was a one-time thing.
It's my understanding that these goals are going to be on all our agendas going forward. I would suggest that we add your department's goals as well, Ms. Walnick. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. Office of Community Reinvestment, Mr. Berger, are you on the line?
Good morning, sir. Yes. I don't have any business items before the committee today, but just as you advised, Jody, regarding goals, our department also was not included on the first page, so we'll take the necessary steps to make sure that's added to your future agendas. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Berger. New business. We have an ordinance amending section 2-48 of the Kane County Code, standing committees to revise language related to the County Development Committee. Mr.
Certainly. Yeah, this is sort of a three-way effort between Directors Walnick and Berger and myself. This has been in the works for quite some time, but the current definition or verbiage in the county code for the County Development Committee, it does not currently reflect the way the programs are organized between our three departments. So we took some time to update that language, and this was reviewed by the Development Committee previously. A number of these are working their way through committees and eventually the county board to amend the county code to update a number of the committees. This is, and I think in our estimation, fairly important to do so that it is consistent with the three departments and how we report to this committee. So happy to answer any questions between Jody, Scott, and myself.
I get a motion to approve?
Leonard, so moves.
Iqbal seconds.
Leonard moves, Iqbal seconds. Any discussion? Mr. Tepi?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And it's an honor, by the way, saying Mr. Chair, so congratulations. Does any of this impact the fact that there's an energy and an environmental committee? In addition to that, I looked at some of the language and just wanted to make sure if there was overlapping responsibility, or has that?
That was the initial issue. When the E&E committee was created, the development committee description was never changed. And so there was a ton of overlap between the development committee description and the E&E committee description. So the intent and why it is really important for my department that this be rectified is to actually remove those items from the development committee description because they are duplicated in the E&E description.
Okay, so this will hopefully make sure there's no confusion.
This will definitely fix the problem that should have been fixed 20 years ago.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Doherty,
Doherty, yes.
Linder,
Ledger, yes.
Tepi,
Tepi, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Williams.
Williams, yes.
Passes.
I'd entertain a request to place the reports on file by unanimous consent.
Leonard, so moves.
Any objection? The reports will be placed on file. I don't think there's a need for any executive session. Is there?
Motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn by Mr. Berman.
Iqbal seconds.
All seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.